Okay, I'd like to call a regular meeting of the Architectural Review Board for the Town of Old Saybrook to order Monday, February 24th, 2025 at 7:03. We'll do a roll call. I'll do that. Andre LaFerrier, Chairman, Ed Armstrong, Secretary, Tina Rupp, Member, and Michael McGinnis. Alt and Michael, I'm going to seat you as Catherine. And Janice Quinn is our clerk tonight. And then item B, I'll move the minutes to the end of the meeting. And tonight is a preliminary discussion for Max's Place Phase 2. We're not going to actually have any resolutions tonight, but we'll have a full discussion and be able to fill you in on things to consider as you move forward. So, floor is yours. We'll do the overall plan and then we'll take it apart sort of chunk by chunk.
Okay. David Royster, I'm the attorney for Max's Place LLC. I think Ron Lyman, who is the principal and the owner, may be here, because I was going to be here. If Casey comes a little bit later, I'm going to give you something to start off with, which is really not part of the review, but is something which we would like the Architectural Review Board to have. I'm going to pass out there he is.
Sorry, I'm late. I had another event way over.
No problem.
Couldn't get away from it.
No problem. I just changed our schedule. And this is a freestanding sign, obviously. And this freestanding sign not conform to your regulations, because your regulations now on a freestanding sign, it's 50 square feet. This is 75. And I think as you can see, where there's multiple tenants, as is going to be the situation, we believe, with Max's Place Phase 2. The freestanding sign really is very squeezed, even at 75 square feet.
I noticed the tenants were a little tight on that drawing you gave us.
It is, and so in latter part of January, I appeared before the zoning commission asking if they might consider on preliminary basis, if they might consider a relaxing of some of the standards in the signage. And this was included, but there were several other things that we would have liked to have seen. And Mr. Friedman, who's a former chairman in the commission, said, "Have you gone to ARB?" I said, no. I said, well, I think you ought to go to ARB, because it was ARB that was a sponsor of the most recent signage regulation. So I said I would, and here I am. And I would like to just give you a draft. There's a bunch of them, but pass those down. A draft regulation change. And the regulation change is only for relates only to a freestanding sign. Right now, the shopping center is defined as 4 businesses on a single lot. And your regulations, they have the regulations for the B2 and B4 together, the commercial zone. They do not differentiate between a shopping center or any other sort of retail use. And in the shopping center regulations, there is some change for parking for a shopping center, that they're allowed to extract from the calculation of the usual calculation of spaces for storage areas. But we think that there is a significant difference between a shopping center and other retail establishments with respect to the number of tenants. And in this shopping center with the two lots that are involved, shown on the this plan, the two lots that are involved in this are in orange and in yellow on this plan. And this is our what we call lot C, and this is lot D. A little larger version you have within the materials 11 by 17 of that plan. So what we would ask you to consider, and I understand you are not likely certainly to take a vote on it because it's not on your agenda as such, but I would like you to consider, and we'd be happy to discuss it with the board too, is to add under your existing sign regulation, where it gives a number of signs, freestanding signs, just an additional paragraph which says in a shopping center with more than 5 tenants, the freestanding sign may be not more than 75 square feet. So instead of 50, if you have more than 5 tenants, that you go to allow a larger area of signage. So certainly on 5 tenants, they would have, with 50, it's basically 10 square feet. But with 75, 12, 5 square feet. Still, if you take a look at that, that's 75. So you could get to 75, and if you had 5 tenants on that freestanding sign, I think you would have adequate, realistic room without the sign being, overly large. Going to be the same height, the 8 feet. A lot of the signs, you see the freestanding signs are probably 30 feet high, and
Those are the older ones.
those are the older ones, pre-existing, non-conforming, and hopefully that you'll be able to over time get rid of some of those. But here, I think what we would be looking for is to, if it's more than 5 tenants, let it be 75 square feet. And where it has more than 8 tenants, that there may be a second freestanding sign of 75 square feet, so that in this, there's likely to be from 12 to 15 tenants in this phase 2 of the shopping center. And it seems that 2 signs of that size on one of them would likely be here and the other one likely be there. That would be our plan. Would not be distasteful, would not be overly large, which I think is one of the concerns that the architectural board has when it's looking at signage requirements. So that's our request. If there were any questions you'd like to answer, we'd be happy to do that. but might as well get on with what is actually on the agenda. And that is the review of phase 2 of the Max's Place Shopping Center. We already met with Chris Costa, Greg Del Rio, who's the traffic engineer, Mike Spira, who is the traffic authority, and Chris Costa to review the plans. And that was mainly for a site plan, drainage, those type of issues, traffic, how it operates within the shopping center, not architecture and signage. And Chris Costa suggested that we go here on a preliminary basis also, and we're happy to do that. And we have here tonight for that purpose Ron Lyman, who is the principal of Max's Place LLC, he owns it. And also there are 2 lots to the east, which are not part of the existing shopping center. One was John Donnelly's accounting office, and you probably have to be longer here than Mr. McGinnis to remember that building, but you may remember the motel that was on the Boston Post Road. Ron Lyman has acquired both of those properties, and the buildings have been demolished, and the property itself will be incorporated into Max's Place LLC. For this night also is Chris Milliard, who is a senior project manager and associate principal, which is now known as, give me the name of your Colliers Engineering and Design, which is the successor to phase 0 design. So you're still going to see this whole company on some of the materials, but Chris is the top man on this project, and it's a lot to done, and we'll have him talk to you. You know whether Dave Ziyax is made it for a couple of
Katie, Paul, Nancy? No, we don't have Dave.
Go to attendees.
Hi everyone, I'm Nancy Zhou from JLL, JP Morgan Chase. I'm the real estate project manager for Chase Building.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so Dave wasn't sure whether he was going to be able to make it or not. But as was stated, there's Nancy Zoe, who is here for the bank, Chase Bank, and there's also Nick Mendenhall.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
hello, everybody. This is Nick
Nick.
Mendenhall, Senior Project Manager, Core States, the architect engineer for this Chase Bank.
Okay, and we also have Kate Betty, who is again a project manager for Chipotle. So they basically, if there are questions that arise, these are the people that should be answering them rather than me. So just to get started, I'd like to turn over to Ron, if you could just give him a rough overview of the shopping center and the expansion.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to thank you all for letting us, all the members of the Architectural Review Committee and Chris Coster, I know, for allowing us preliminary review of the project by ARB. It was quite some time ago when we first started this project. Well, in fact, you folks may remember that we had to acquire the cul-de-sac from the town. which was difficult, but we worked that out. The cul-de-sac used to actually come right through to, it ended about here. So we had to buy the cul-de-sac from the town. We were fortunate that we were able to do that. And Big Y was certainly the first tenant, and Coles wanted to come along, was very interested too. But we were all about frankly taking a little pressure off Stop and Shop's parking lot. Everybody was anxious for a second choice, and once I had Coles, even Stop and Shop wanted to, all of a sudden was offering me like crazy money to be the co-anchor because they didn't want the competition. But, you know, my word is important to me. And even though they offered me probably twice what I was getting, almost twice what I'm getting from Big Y, I promised everyone a second choice to make things a little more competitive. It was their, not only one of their best stores, but their highest margin stores. I'm talking about Stop and Shop. So it's good to have them come down to reality a little bit on that. As Dave may have told you, but or mentioned earlier, it was really all part of UConn that we were trying to do something a little different. These liner buildings, as we call them, they're only about 10 feet from the road, and although they look nice on all four sides, the parking is obviously from the egresses are from the parking lot side. And we just didn't want to have, like you have typically in a lot of typical shopping centers, where you have a sea of asphalt out in front and the building sitting back next to the anchor or something of that nature. So we wanted to significant change and have a significant change in order to so it wouldn't look like the Panicaro's site on the Boston Post Road with extensive front wheel parking. I'm proud the way it came out. I frankly, one of the things that I mentioned is I'd like to further enhance the aesthetics. The stone walls are a nice feature, but the goal is to put stone walls across the whole front and even enhance them, on Spencer Plain Road. I would try to, I'm very proud of it, and we've worked very hard to get there. This is Max, by the way, named after Max, and Max Lyman. In any case, there's two tenants here, as you probably noticed already. This is going to be Chase Bank, and the one to the rear is Starbucks. The new regulations required it's 150 feet away. Fortunately, they love banks. So the bank was able to come close to the road, this is a 12,000 square foot building here, and on this end is going to be where Chipotle is going, we're connecting the shopping center, as you may have noticed from the road that goes in this way here, connected to the rest of it, and there will be a traffic light at Denmore, so it'll be a complete. You'll be able to go in and out both directions instead of the in only that is there presently. We have we really are optimistic that we will. In fact, we've been talking to Barnes is even interested. Barnes and Noble. We've got some interesting tenants that seem to. Everybody, it's a difficult town to get permits, but it's a great place to live, and there's a lot of people, more and more people coming to the shore. So we're, thinking that, well, and as you folks know, Whole Foods is playing across the street. So it's certainly, Whole Foods has sort of endorsed the area too. That obviously, if they want to come here, it's sort of. It's made it Old Saybrook, if you will, but we're very interested in trying to keep it architecturally significant and to make it something that will last the test of time. I'm not for doing a building or a project where it looks great, for a little while, and then somebody says, "Oh yeah, that was built back in the such and such when that was the thing." I'd like the property to look good 100 years from now. So that's our goal. I am very pleased with our team. I mean, besides Dave, Hesketh does a fabulous job. They did everything in the first phase, and we now have Chris Milliard from Phase Zero Design. Chris has done, you'll see when he gets to when he shows you his work, he's a very, very, very talented guy. And excited to have it come to fruition. So other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you may have, and certainly appreciate your endorsements. The signage is, by the way, a very important thing. The sign is what we're contemplating here, even at 75 square feet, is certainly smaller than what we have presently over here at the other egress on Spencer. But it is important that, I mean, there are people here that only come for the summer or even may not realize that the entrance is on Spencer Plain. So we really need to have, per our agreements with Coles and Big Y, we need to put them on the top of on the pylon so people go, oh, that's where Big Y is, or that's where Coles is, and they swing in. And then, of course, we want to make sure that the other folks all have good signage too. So if there's any help you can get us, you can provide for us and getting a nice pylon. It'll be smaller than the one we have presently, but we really we appreciate any guidance or help for that we can do that might help the zoning commission contemplate what we're proposing. So are there any questions that I can answer for any one of you?
No, I think what I'd like to hear is,
Yes,
Chris,
thank you.
kind of talk about the
Yeah.
individual projects, then we'll have some comments and probably questions. Everyone's gonna participate.
Yeah, before I put him on, can I just do it in sequence, which would be like from the materials you have to do Chase first, and then we would go to Starbucks.
Okay.
And that's okay. We have two project managers from Chase here to answer questions. And if you go to the file with the right hand, that becomes the Chase package. And as you see, basically it starts with the south elevation. That's the elevation that will be facing Boston Post Road. You can see it's a gray, two shades of gray, and the first tone, the brown, is in the back. Take a look at the next east elevation, and that elevation again has the gray and the brown on one side. It is on the west elevation where you have the ATM. That's ATM only. It's not manned, so it isn't Liberty Bank. Liberty Bank and the main office on Main Street has a basically the drive-through is served by a teller. But if you go over on the Boston Post Road across from the diner, they have the ATM only facility. So this is ATM only. It will not be manned. And as you know, the reason why I chose this many cars is that's not likely to be the number of cars that we're waiting to get to the ATM, but is what is required under the regulation for it. So there is plenty of stacking room for those cars. And then the last one, and some of the elevations you have repeating a little bit larger so you can read the some of the height and text of it. And that basically is the north elevation, which is facing away from the Boston Post Road. Really will not have anything behind it, and there's no signage or anything else that's intended for them. That's just the basic of, for them. And if you have any questions, Nancy, Zoe is here and Nick, Mellenhall is here.
Just from a visual, I'm familiar with the Chase building, the bank and Old Saybrook. It's relatively new. Is this quite similar?
Are you familiar with the existing,
In Madison,
Madison?
I'm sorry, in
Tower and
Madison.
Old Saybrook.
Yeah, you're right, in Madison.
Hey, hello.
Hey, guys, this is Rich
Rich.
Cross. I'm the Vice President Market Director for Chase. This building looks nothing like the Madison building.
It
Madison
does.
building was a custom design.
All right. Thank you.
Ed, yeah, would you like the floor?
Sure,
I have a couple of comments, but
I do.
you guys can jump in.
Yeah, I think the overall plan for all the buildings starts off great. A lot of stone, you know, a lot of, I think you have some clapboard. Very nice design. But that goes away with the Chase building. There's, you know, it's not consistent. Yeah, I'll say it's not complementary to the other designs. Kind of stark. in my opinion. So we do have some printouts, other Chase banks that are a lot more attractive.
Like that, for example.
Yeah.
I got some big ones too here. Yeah,
Yeah, why don't you pass those around?
Complimentary.
yeah,
What happened?
yeah. These, you can pass those around. I have a copy of them.
So, I mean, it's, just to start off, you know, the color is pretty dark.
There you go.
There's no color. It's red.
You don't have a copy?
The top of the bank looks square. You know, if you were to apply some ground molding or on top of it to kind of dress it up, it would make it a lot more attractive.
Can I, can you do so that Nancy and Nick can?
Cannot, not able to do it on here.
They can't use the
Unfortunately.
same system for the
It's-
PowerPoint, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, is
we have
there,
antique computers here,
um,
unfortunately.
You have to send
I can
digital
send, I have their
files.
emails, I can send it to them.
can you do that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
here's,
that's a-
we have several, here's my
Okay.
We
favorite.
have your, we have your email, so they're gonna send you, comparative business images for Chase. They're contesting with us for the,
You,
A
oh,
picture.
so you have a color version of it right there?
I had,
Yeah.
yes, this is
Yeah, those are
the
just the titles you
comparative
put in. Yeah.
business images.
But-
And it identifies,
Actually, I think you have
The
Starbucks in
cargo.
there and also Chipotle.
Got them all in.
I do have, pardon me, everybody, I do have a 3D rendering of one shot of the corner of the Chase Bank that if I could share the screen might be helpful for everybody to take a look at.
He stepped away for 1 second from the computer. Yeah, we'll load it.
We tried that last meeting. That was a system error too last time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I did some, put this on here. I had some questions on the current site over there this morning. So I want to talk about a couple of those things that I have questions on. And then I dug up some other things here.
A few more words while we're waiting. Is that okay,
Yeah,
Andrew?
while we're
Yeah, this
waiting
this
to-
here was for a lighting issue on it too. Yeah.
So, you know, the bottom line is the current proposed design, the pictorial, it just doesn't harmonize with the rest of the buildings. You know, it doesn't enhance, it's not beautiful. Whereas the other buildings have stone and normal features that you would see in the Saybrook. You know, it's just, it doesn't fit in my opinion.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that in our book too. I could dig out the paragraph, but the thing they're looking for is something that's harmonious with the feeling of the town. At the very least, colors should be harmonious, you know, that's gray, and you're looking at the rest of the buildings at Max's Place, you know, they're nice, very earthy tones, but light colored, very nice. As is the strip of retail space that you put down there, and all of a sudden, there's a block of dark gray. And, you know, looking through all the other samples we found, we know there are a lot of choices in custom buildings, custom design, same square footage, you know. With this particular design here too, there's some issues that we'll talk about, but right now it's the overall look, and that would also jump over to Starbucks as well, because all you have to do is go over to Clinton by the big Y there, and they've got a nice gabled building next to it, and it just fits the look of Saybrook more, and that's what we look for. If you look at Guilford GSB, that's a colonial clapboard building. You've got was it Bank of America? You've got a colonial brick building, so you've got buildings that are more harmonious with the look of Saybrook, and I think that's what you're concerned with. Yeah, I am too.
Several years ago, when I was sitting here and McDonald's was here, they started off like this. And then they added a crown all along the top of the parapet. In fact, I think part of the crown has a downlight out of the crown molding that shines on the sign of McDonald's at night. Very pleasing to the eye. Whereas, you know, and McDonald's, it started off with a very, very stark exterior. They changed to stone. So stone, parapet, lighting coming down onto their sign. And that's what we have today. A nice, you know, not too more expensive than what they needed, but it came out much better.
Have the people from Chase received the email?
Hello?
3D rendering is much nicer. That, you know, shows
Yeah,
better
it-
than that, but
it's-
it's still,
But
Can I ask,
it just doesn't comport with Saybrook.
Nancy
no, I agree.
and Nick,
Even if
as
the
to
colors
whether
were
you
changed, it doesn't
received the
match better than
email which shows a
the sign,
variety
same
of
size,
facades
I'll talk to
for
Chris at some point about it.
Chase and for Starbucks. You're obviously just doing the Chase, but have you received it?
Yeah, I did get the email.
I did receive from Janice.
Yes,
Yeah, I got it. The Max's
Yeah.
Place.
yep.
Thank you, Janice.
Welcome.
Is anybody, Nancy,
Mm-hmm.
are you prepared to comment at all on,
So here's one.
not necessarily
It's nice.
the specific of
I
the
can accept that.
email, but the apparent desire of at least two members that there be more of a variety of covers,
Ed.
colors,
Yeah,
more trying to make this
same colors.
consistent
It's more
with the
consistent.
building C and D on the other side of the entry.
So this is Nick. I haven't opened the PowerPoint yet, but I was just wondering if you guys could see my 3D rendering up on the screen.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, I heard all the comments about earthly tones and whatnot. So we have the Nichiha panels at the main entrance and then around the surrounding facades. There's a metal ACM panel at the conference room window, which is facing Boston Post Road, make it more prominent. Get people to come into the shopping center. It's more of an inviting thing. And then back of house here, you can see we have, it's a limestone, it's a stacked limestone. That's for back of house activities, not public facing. So basically this is kind of the direction we were taking with it, and I appreciate everybody, hearing us and taking a stab at it for the shopping center. So can answer questions on that as well.
Yeah, in your packet, if you look at Cornelius, Oregon, for example, very similar to your geometric shape, except that it's in more acceptable earth tones that come close to the other buildings in Access Place.
Mm.
We don't have to go to the extent of gables and shingles, but certainly
Want to
color.
give me
and material.
Yeah, we can consider that. The Nijiha panels, they have a wide variety of color tones.
Yeah,
That might appease some of the congruence within the shopping center.
Are the windows tinted black like that, or is that just the rendering?
No, that's just the rendering. Yeah.
yeah, because we don't do reflective windows. We don't do dark windows in Saybrook.
Yeah, we don't, they won't be. That's just in the rendering in this case.
Because that would change the whole look a great deal if we could see it with the actual clear windows, because it looks very
Yeah.
industrial and strong
here-
there.
here you
Yeah,
can
if it
see.
looks like that, then maybe even
Yeah.
the other panels.
Yeah.
wouldn't be as-
Just-
Yeah, between that and like these flat drawings we have, like this, they're all, obviously that's a 3D and this is flat, but this really was like jarring to look at. But like if that we could see with the clear glass, maybe it's not so far off.
I mean, it appears as though the two color, significant color changes in your
Yeah.
3D up there. We have dominant black and dominant gray.
Mhm.
And you have dark, I think a dark brown and a light brown,
Yeah.
correct?
Correct, yeah.
It's sort of like this one here is what,
Yeah.
that's the most appealing.
Yeah. So
Now-
it might not be so far off if we could see it with the different windows.
Okay, so you see the one that's been shown here. And if I understand correctly, you are saying that we prefer the Cornelius, Oregon.
That for color, yeah, and feel, at least it's, it's not that much of a departure from this particular design, but it's, I think more harmonious.
Agreed. Even with
Yeah.
the same design. If you had that variety of
Yeah, I don't know about
colors,
the contrast of
Although
that
that-
corner window, but yeah, this same idea,
that's
yeah.
what you like. That's,
Well, I don't know if that's like too warm and
That's what a few people do.
clay color. Yeah,
I'm just saying,
it's like a very clay.
Yeah.
Like that feels like Southwest.
Yeah, it's not too
Whereas-
terribly dark. It's nice because you've got contrasting tans and browns on the other buildings in the complex. The other thing I might
I
note
just
on, the-
want, if I could,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to mention. That, like what we have in Old Saybrook and what we want to have. That you have the entry driveway. Which separates the main shopping center from this part of it. So, the fact if this were right in the middle of something which had the sign on both sides, I could say, wait a minute, it's inconsistent with the look. I just want to mention that because particularly I felt the Starbucks
we're getting there,
is dark,
yeah.
but again, it's on the other side. The entry driveway is really
Yeah,
freestanding.
we understand, however, it's on the same piece of property.
When I entered this development, I entered through this driveway, it's right off of Route 1. It's very convenient for people coming south on Route 1. And that's the first building you want to see.
Yeah, you're gonna see, it's gonna be obvious, it's right up by the road, right on the right side. And,
Mhm.
it's really the width of the road across from the other building too, so it's not that significantly farther away.
Mhm.
So I see your point, but,
But you're not saying change of design, you're just saying change
that,
colors.
yeah, at least the color. Soften it up with that. The other problem I see, and I had talked to Chris a little bit about this, is right now you've got two signs that are the same size. That's not in our regulations. You have one sign, that's your master sign, and the second sign is smaller.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, and then, as far as your directionals, you're allowed an entrance. It says entrance, exit, and you're allowed, an open and closed. So effectively 4 other signs for that. And then there was some question, I had their discussions about the chase that appears on the, your ATM machine is actually a 3rd sign. And that it's not allowed by our regulations. I'm not sure how we'll handle it later, if there may be a solution to that, but I'm just saying that that's come up in the discussion. That's a 3rd sign, and that flies in the face of our regulations.
So that the Chase, it's basically a cap on of the ATM machine. So I think Chase Nancy, you can back me up. It could just be the gray without the
Yeah.
Chase verbiage on the top of it.
Yeah, I think we can get away with something like that.
Yeah.
Just a small point, but the second sign is not necessarily small. It usually is because of the calculation that you take. So I don't know.
Well,
What the
they didn't
size
give
is.
us any dimensions, so we have to wait till we actually see the drawings, because they didn't
Right.
give us any dimensions that
Right.
we could take our measurements from. But, my first reaction is I'm looking at the same size. I don't know how wide that is, because you just measure the width of that front by 10 feet, and that's the square footage. You're allowed, 20% of that, well, it's probably gonna be internally lit, so actually 65% plus.
45
Yeah,
square feet.
These
Yeah.
these signs are 24-inch letter sets, top to bottom. And then each sign that you're seeing is 39 square feet.
yeah, you
36.
measure the width of the face that it's being mounted on, okay? You're allowed 10 feet in height by the width of the face it's being mounted on. So for example, the entrance that I'm looking at, that would be whatever that width is, I don't know, 30 feet maybe. So you'd have 300 square feet.
300.
So you would do your math on that. And then you'd have to go smaller with the second sign, but it's 5% of that. It gets smaller, and I think I forget what it is. It's because they're internally lit, so they're a little smaller.
Yeah.
45.
Yeah.
We can do that. We just show typically in our brand books is to get, we look for the max amount of chase signage, but we know variances come into play, and there's all kinds of things that the town has, and that's fine. So we're just showing off what we can actually do, and we can be amenable to what you guys decide. That's not a problem.
And then there was one other.
Mr. Person? So this 3D design is very helpful. But what jumps out to me, of course, it's still the color, the starkness of the gray, black, so a more pleasing color, like Andre was saying, and texture. And then the top of this, it looks like you do have a crown molding on top of the not portico, what's it called? What's the thing on top?
Parapet section.
So is that a crown molding on top of the parapet?
No, it's just a coping. It's a cap.
Yeah, could you put a crown molding?
Increase
We'd
the
have to
thickness of
explore
that.
with Chase, but we've done custom things in the past, so could do some sort of decorative trim.
Yeah, I'll again refer, the one, we have a few examples. You already have the examples. In some of your examples, you have different shaped roofs, you have crown moldings, which are much more pleasing to the eye. And then one more thing while I'm at it, is this 3D rendering, the window percentage. So on the facade, the front facade of the building, I'm not, I have no dimensions to calculate it, but just want to remind you that the front facade, the glass area needs to be at maximum 35% of the area of the front facade.
Yeah. We fall under that, and the overall facade's at 22%. So we're in between the I think you guys have the 15 to 35%. If if my memory serves me.
Uh,
12 to 35.
12, no less than 12 and no greater than 35.
Yeah, we'll fall into that. That won't be a problem.
Then the other issue is the lighting. I don't know, you didn't have any specifics for that, but the thing I noticed in a couple of photographs of a design that was similar is you have sconce lighting with up and down. We use full cut off, down lighting only. We're dark sky compliant in Saybrook. So if it's looking down, it's fine.
Yeah, we can do that. Sconces, we'll just do downlight.
Yeah, you can move them up higher probably to get the effect you're looking for.
Yeah, and try to keep the Kelvin temperature down.
Yeah,
Around
you guys are
3,000.
under like 3K, I think. I've
Yeah.
done,
That'd be great.
Yeah, that's perfect.
yeah, okay.
And you've got plenty of plantings in your renderings, that's fine, you know. Specimen tree, yeah. Okay. Tina, anything?
I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, just seeing some lighter shades, I think, and then seeing it with the glass, like we're seeing in these other examples. But, I think that probably makes a nice difference.
Okay, I think, we just need to go back to the zoning board, and, see if we can get something that, meets the general criteria. I think they, flavor, or complementary, and color for now. And the, particularly the signs that they comply, will have to comply. We'll determine whether or not that EPM is a sign with whatever change they have to. Okay?
Okay, that works great.
Anything else you wanna inquire of, the board?
Yeah, because I don't. Yeah.
Are we staying, we're still on Chase, or we'll move on to another building?
We're still on Chase,
Oh, it's good.
because they are only for Chase.
Good. Andre, you good for Chase or?
Yeah, Chase is fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody.
Thank you all.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Now, the next item. Starbucks.
Mhm.
And if you note that phase 0 design, that's their plan. And I introduce you to Chris Milliard, who is a associate principal and senior project manager for design. Starbucks has a policy, doesn't want to come to these meetings. We asked them, they say, no, it's up to the landlord to get a building design, which is basically satisfactory to us. And in this, Ron, the landlord, was going to basically own that building. So you got to listen to for what they have to say. If you want to give them any,
You gotta make it work though, too. I know that there's been some issues with candidly, cost of labor has gone up dramatically, materials have gone up dramatically, interest rates are high. There's been yes, we're hopefully, and I have no problems with changing the architecture, but making it pencil out has been a challenge, to be quite candid with you. And I know that I am Starbucks is sort of drawing a line in the sand as far as what they can pay for rent. And so I'm hopeful that we can make it work in a way that the town will like it, at the same time that it pencils out, because if it doesn't pencil out, it doesn't happen. It's a practical matter. So that's our challenge now too, but it's not that we're not going to be backflips trying.
Chris,
All right. Chris Millard from Phase Zero Design, or I should say formerly Phase Zero Design. We're now Colliers Engineering and Design. Yeah, I'm thankful to have the opportunity to work with Ron and work with Max's Place. I Actually just happened to notice down the hall, there's an award on the wall for Max's Place for phase two, so I'd like to think we can put something together for for this phase to also get another award on the wall for architectural review. We've been tasked with looking at these, or I guess the development includes 4 buildings, as you've seen from the site plan, which is the 2 liner buildings, as we're talking about, the linear buildings along Boston Road, Chase Bank, which we looked at, and then also the Starbucks building, which is in this back corner. Starbucks, as you know, is kind of a national company. They've got their own prototype. They've got multiple different types of designs that they've used. And for this, we were looking at one of the prototype designs that had multiple, that actually had these colors on it. And it's what they were looking to use for this site. On this building, it's really two different colors. There's this dark wood veneer, which I don't have on this image. I think I do have a picture of it from Starbucks. Sorry, I didn't make multiple copies of it, but there's basically there's two woods. There's this brown wood and kind of like this dark gray wood palette. They are a real wood veneer that gets applied to the building. The majority of it is this darker gray wood, and then we introduced some of the brown wood in there. And then I believe there's also some black brick accents around the building. And so on the back, there's a drive-through. I believe that uses some more of I believe that's the black wood at the drive-through, and then the brown wood gets added underneath. There's certainly some aluminum storefronts, black storefront, which is part of their prototype. But that's what we've been asked to do here, is kind of look at their prototype design and fit it into the site. I actually like the colors. I know they're certainly bold, but I do think it makes it kind of stand out in the parking lot. It gives it its own unique palette. We do have 2 other buildings which we'll look at that are very similar in design, which face the road. And, you'll certainly see those buildings first, and then this building is deeper into the site as you enter down the new entrance drive into Max's Place. Questions, comments?
Sure, I have a comment. I'll start. I like the design. Again, I'm not sure if you have a crown molding on top of the parapet, but I'm really very happy to see that you have outdoor seating. That's great. My impression is that, and I like the idea that you said of laminate wood on the outside. Is that what you said?
That's a wood veneer, yes.
Wood veneer. So that's great. It's just that it could be lightened up a bit, if you will. But I'm looking at my sister. My sister used to live in Westfield, Massachusetts. So they have a pretty cool design, So they have a dark canopy, like the canopy you have, which is a flat horizontal canopy. It looks like, that could be dark but lighten up the top. Probably 5 shades. And put a crown molding that matches the color of that lower roof. So it needs to, again, harmonize with the rest of the Max's Place, in my opinion. Again, great that you have outdoor seating. Just a little bit more, and the Starbucks sign on the over the eating area. I'm not sure that is permitted. I think you might have to put that on the building. Because it's a roof essentially.
Right.
Regulations, I'm looking at that. The regulations are,
I would consider
don't really
that,
address it.
I would consider that a roof. It's an overhang, so you'd have to put it up on top of the building. Yeah,
Along this.
yeah,
this
just
facade
up in
here.
that face, yeah.
Yeah, there is some,
And then also you have a Starbucks, a round Starbucks sign on one of the drawings in here over the canopy over the drive-through area, and that's not gonna happen.
because it's three.
Hmm?
Because it's three signs.
Not just 3 signs, but also the location. Chris talked to me about that. That's it's just not gonna happen.
Which sign is that, Andre?
If, on one of the drawings in here, you can see it on the canopy over the drive-through area. It's on the schematic exterior, the STBA scheme C. Okay, if you look at that, you'll see it, see the round sign right up here. Yeah, that wouldn't fly.
Because it's 3 signs or?
Well, because it's 3 signs, but also its location, because it's up on a roof. That's on that same roof that we're talking about, the face sign. So I don't know which one you're picking there in that rendering.
I was
showing
looking
us.
at,
No, this,
You have
this one,
here.
this one right here. See it?
oh,
Which one?
that's a freestanding sign, I guess.
This one.
Yeah, I
This
don't,
one would go down here.
is that a freestanding sign?
It's.
Well, first of all, it
So
looks way
wait.
too high. You can only go up to,
Oh, yeah, no, that,
yeah,
It's
that's,
kind of tacky.
that won't happen.
No, this,
Yeah.
this is really submitted for
As you say, that's
reference
not gonna
only.
happen.
Oh,
This is
okay,
Not gonna.
that's not gonna.
yeah. And the, your mechanicals, so I didn't mention that on the bank, but the bank's gonna have to consider some way to shield the mechanicals. They have it on the back wall, but that's a stark back wall. And we're viewing the building as viewed from 360 degrees. It's not just because it's away from Route 1, you still have drive around. So, you know, you go between the 2 buildings, between Starbucks and the bank. So it's viewed 360 degrees. So they've got some mechanicals on the back that could be shielded with a cabinet or something like that, that's all.
The bank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then, of course, you know, there's the, it looked like there were enough articulation, but again, you have to actually see the drawing to measure the articulation. This is what, every 30 feet, I think, Ed?
Every 30 feet, if it's an 80-foot building, I thought it's 40.
No, 40% of, it can't be more than 40% of the building.
40
Yeah,
40
so
feet
first
of
of all,
wall.
if your building is 80 feet long, then you need an articulation every 30 feet. If the building is between, I think, 80 to 60, then you need an articulation every 40 feet. So there's
But
three,
again, we don't know what the dimensions are.
there's
so we
3
can't-
phases of articulation, 3, you know, like different horizontal dimensions.
And you're looking at a 2-foot bump out or,
All of these we've already gone about, they're gonna be less than 2 feet.
Less than 2 feet.
Less than 2 feet, jog, let's call it. The fenestration will be
yeah, that's
less
gotta be
than,
2 feet.
less than 2 feet. But your regulation says 2 feet or more. It's measured,
For a change in facade plane.
Yeah,
mhm.
it's gotta be 2 feet, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think you said it's gonna be less than 2 feet.
The requirement, it just says that if you're measuring and the building, if it is, 2 feet or more. Of jog in the building, then you have to, just measure it on the section of the building.
Oh, yeah.
For signage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so if part of the building is jogged out already more than 2 feet or more.
Yeah.
feet or more,
Yeah.
Then the signage can be put on that piece of the
The
building.
calculation.
yeah, for
Okay.
that part,
For
but,
that
but,
part.
All right.
but for the actual wall itself, it's gotta be 2 feet. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the articulation, like if you just have an 80-foot straight wall, then it has to be articulated every 30 feet. And then there's another qualification of dimensions that has to be articulated every 40 feet, depending on how long the building is.
Right.
But
Even for, as we said, at, on the Chase sign, it said dimensions to be determined.
Right,
And that really applies to all the ones that are shown.
Yeah, that's what I said. We can't, get any more specific
Yeah,
than
yeah.
that, but just be aware that that's, the general rule. One's bigger than the smaller.
Yeah.
It depends on the measurement. We don't have them, so, yeah, no, what I was looking at was this one here. Again, it's a lot of square shape, but you see the treatment up along
Right,
the
the
roof
lighting.
is something I think Ed would like.
Which one is
It's
that?
more of a.
See this
a
one
trellis.
here?
yeah, yeah.
Something like that, a little lighter in the wood, but again, the same basic design, that's fine, but it's gotta have some,
Where is it?
it's, would be Richmond, Rhode Island. Yeah, it's not extreme, but it's, again, it softens it, because in a town of older buildings and colonial buildings, you have a lot of trim.
Clinton also.
I like Clinton a lot, yeah, you've got the gable. Again, I'm thinking of cost, if this thing falls in line with that,
Thanks.
So, we'll review with Starbucks colors, articulation, the signage and the canopy, and
Yeah.
the potential design of the canopy, similar to Richmond, it's Rhode Island.
Yeah, Richmond, Rhode Island. Yeah, that one's, it's lighter, it's got it, but it's not that removed from that design. So, I think we could do something with that.
Yeah, it looks like there's the wall on which the sign is located is darker.
Yeah,
The other two are lighter.
yeah, because that's gonna probably be internally lit, so. Again, that one, now on, with white letters, we've had people come in with over 7K. It's way too white, so it's gotta just be toned down. What do we say at about 5,000, I think?
I would be max.
Yeah,
I mean, 3 is great.
yeah.
5,
Somewhere between 3 and 5 would work. It depends on the material they use for the, it's the
lettering
the
itself.
lettering itself, whatever the material is. Sometimes it filters more of it, so that's why I let that other sign go,
yeah.
the service sign go, because it's a very dense material, so it's gonna filter that down a lot. We had somebody you could probably see it from the space station, so it was, way too bright, so we have to be careful with our lighting. So we keep it toned down. Now, what about, for all these buildings, what are you gonna do about, refuse waste removal? I didn't see anything on the plan, very clearly. Because you gotta have a fence around it, you're gonna put a dumpster somewhere. And actually that sort of flops over into Chipotle too, because they're at the end of those buildings and it doesn't look like there's anything convenient for, waste removal, so.
Yeah, that would go back to the site plan. F.A. Haskett isn't here, who's the civil engineer that prepared the site plan. But I can comment as best as I can on that. I do know they're proposing some trash enclosures behind the building, easily accessible for vehicles so they can come in either direction and get access to both of these enclosures. I believe also back here by Starbucks, there's another one tucked in the deep corner of the
Okay.
site.
So those, is there one trash enclosure that you just pointed to in between those two big buildings, or is it 2?
So there's 2 right here. If I had to guess, I would say one of them is trash and the other one is for recyclables.
Okay,
And then there's one back here, and I can see there's a double door on those.
okay, yeah, because you can't see that on the, yeah.
It's always an issue at a Starbucks.
You can see them on your 11/17 site plan.
Oh, okay,
Just below the 25 reserved spaces as well across the
Yeah.
street, that's where the dumpsters are.
I don't know, Andre.
that's still a little bit of a hike from the restaurant. Are they gonna want to carry that stuff over there?
Yeah, that's, So I'm wondering, do you need two or, I mean, it is a hike. Someone's got to carry trash from either end of those, of buildings C and D to the middle of the parking lot. I don't know, it could be a bit inconvenient. The people working there.
Well, the other side of that coin is it's right up next to the building, may be convenient, but it also isn't very attractive to the people coming into the restaurant.
Yeah, so this would have to be treated well,
Right, they would have an enclosure around them.
yeah,
And it is, front and center here
yeah,
in the parking lot, so we want to make sure it's well hidden and durable.
yeah.
Yeah, these spaces here have not been assigned yet as to the tenants. I think there was thought that there could potentially be 4 tenants in building C, maybe even 5 in building D. We do know that this is the side where Chipotle is
Mhm.
intending on taking. But these are retail spaces, certainly have less trash.
And,
demand.
and what's this in the center here behind the dumpsters?
Are you pointing to right here?
Yeah,
Good question. I believe that's additional parking right there in the middle.
There's a,
yeah, because you've got,
it shows there's a handicap.
that's handicap,
And there's a
okay,
charging,
okay.
an AV station.
I comment back on the design of Starbucks. I personally love this building. I think it's a great, beautiful, I'm a mid-century modern fan. I think this is a really gorgeous building. But in keeping with what Ron was saying, like keeping these things, are they gonna be a trendy design? Are they not? What I like about this and the Chase kind of threw us off, I think, because we didn't see a 3D building and then all the windows were black in the 3D. So it was really hard to really get that it wasn't as, dark and heavy. But I can see where that property, that section with those 2 buildings where they go together. Then we go into this, Chipotle has the dark brick, like I can see how that kind of can start to flow. But they definitely seem like so different from that, of course. These seem so different from that property. So, and I don't know if I agree with the fact that it needs to be lighter, personally, my opinion. I think it's a striking design, but I just wonder if it is just like a little bit jarring compared to all the other buildings in town. We do like this kind of cottagey antique look of a building to kind of keep it throughout the town. I don't know if it's necessarily bad to have them. It's just for discussion. It's like, are these 2 that much different? I know all the Chase buildings look exactly the same, except for they changed the color of the facade. Starbucks has so many different interesting designs from one place to another. I think this is a really cool design. I just don't know, is it gonna stand out like a sore thumb kind of thing? So it's curious to think what other people are thinking about that. I mean, Old Saybrook hasn't really gotten there yet with, interesting, like we're kind of trying to keep the town looking that certain way. I know that's in the back, it's in the rear, maybe it's not such a big deal, but I just wonder if it is a little bit too different. I
We
do
have to
really
remember
like
that
it.
this is, this design is approximately how old? When did you build it?
It's not built yet.
Okay.
That's the
Yeah, that's the
proposed,
new building.
proposed
Oh,
design.
it's a proposal, okay.
We haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah, so that's just like what I, wanted to bring up. It's like, I don't know if they're jarring. I don't know if it's wrong. Like, I like the building. I think it's very cool, very of the moment. But how does it all flow together? And then I was looking back at the big Y and the Kohl's facades, they have a whole other look. So maybe it's that each little section has its own look.
When were those built?
About 13 years ago.
13 years. Okay.
Yeah. So it's,
I mean, it's clear that the Chase facade and the Starbucks facade, I mean, that's what you see in, neat suburbs of big cities today,
yeah,
White Plains or in Scottsdale or, I mean, this is the new look for sure.
Yeah,
There's no question about it. Whether or not what we're troubled with, I guess, or challenged with is the new, how can the new look accommodate some of the requirements that people in Old Saybrook would prefer?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm suggesting just, change the trim a little bit, just to soften the harsh edges. Basically, I like the layout. That's not a problem. But it is a little dark and keeping again in harmony, with the other colors, and that's in our guidebook too. But, you've got, again, these caps and cornices that can be added on, even if it was a matter of making those a lighter color somehow.
That can be done.
Tina's the resident artist here, so I defer to her.
I mean, there's a picture of the Starbucks in Clinton, which is relatively new,
Yeah, I've seen that one.
and of course, it's a different kind of design structurally. But regardless, it's light,
Yeah, right next to the big Y,
Yeah.
pretty much.
but
Oh,
the
yeah.
thing is like if Chase is gonna be just the way Chase is going to be, then these need to relate as well, you know, so
No,
like,
this is okay. It's just the
Yeah.
color.
no, but to
No,
go like
I
to the
think,
brick.
I think we heard you very clearly on
Yeah,
Chase, and I think
Mm.
Mr. Mendenhall from Chase indicated that they would make those changes.
Yeah.
So that building is not going to be as stark, I think.
Yeah, no, they'll do a nice job on it.
And the windows, I believe, will be
yeah,
cleared so that won't be a big dark
Yeah.
spot there.
no,
Mm.
yeah, we get that. Just saying like maybe these two buildings need to relate anyway, because they're on the same property, so changing this drastically, like we still needed to go with the Chase building, because that's
Mm.
probably not gonna change too much, just color wise, but the actual building is still the same, so, you know. I don't know how we don't wanna make this so much like that, we still need it to
No,
relate
we
to
want
the
to keep it
change.
like this, just
Yeah, change colors a little bit.
take some of the weight out of
You
the
did
color.
hit on a good point. We haven't talked about these buildings yet. But the one unique element about these two is really kind of this corner a little bit, because we did change that from the rest of the flow of the building, which is the Chipotle that you can see in this rendering. And right on that corner of Chipotle, we introduced a black brick to that,
Yeah.
which does tie it to this building out as the
I noticed that.
Starbucks. So I agree with you. I do like the dark color of Starbucks. It is one of their many color options, prototype options, but I think it works well for this site. I think having kind of a dark, very neutral color will allow it to kind of blend in really with the site. It's hard to look at them in renderings, because the renderings don't show the depth of color. They don't show the shadows as well as they do in real life. So the colors do stand out more stark. But it's really my opinion. I think the wood tones are gonna read through more better than they will in real life than it will on paper. And I do think there's a brown wood that shows up in the rendering, which is mixed in amongst the storefront, will help soften.
When we come time for an actual, resolution and approval of an application, we'll want
Physical
Samples,
samples of the
samples.
materials. Right?
Yeah, we've done that before. The thing that I find interesting, with the black brick is it's like a transitional from more modern buildings, over. So that's really not that bad.
Yeah.
It makes that transition because you've also got, the face of the gable is a lighter color. So,
Right.
I think it's a good transition.
Yeah, it also goes well with Chipotle. Like they do have, I think I even saw in your pictures, they do have just a big white band of ethos, and then below it is black storefront. And I thought that the black brick was a nice transition from their prototype to something a little bit more unique to this site. So with that said, should I get into the two.
Up to, I
Buildings.
think, again, I do believe we have heard you as far as the Starbucks.
Mm.
And I take it that a little bit maybe more lighter contrasting wood like in Clinton would be helpful, but no dramatic change in the building. And if that's if we heard correctly, and
That's
might
fine.
as well go on to
Yeah, that's fine.
all yours.
All right. I'll put it back up on the- I was joking when I said we'd be here 2 hours. So there's two linear buildings along Boston Road. One's approximately 10,000 square feet, which is, I think, this one building, building C. And then the next one is very similar to it, it's just a little bit longer, building D, which is approximately 12,000 square. So about 2,000 square foot difference between the two. Architecturally, we've designed them very similar. The one big difference is the longer building does have kind of an extra bay here in the middle to give it the extra length. And then the longer building also has this Chipotle element at the end, which we talked about already, has a different illustration. We included the roof plan because we thought that was important as part of the design. We're basically creating kind of this roof element to screen all of the mechanical equipment. As you'll see from the extra elevations, there's a sloped roof that runs around the perimeter, which is decorated with these gable roofs, and then some gable roofs at the ends of the building as well. But this is basically meant to be kind of a basin really on the roof to hide those mechanical equipment. Right now, we just kind of plopped a bunch on the roof, which we'll eventually get to with the design of each tenant space. We've also tried to design the building to be flexible for multiple tenants, not knowing who's leasing the building. You can see we did divide it up into a bunch of very small pieces. We don't believe that's really how many tenants are going to be there. We're looking to, as the building gets leased out, obviously much larger pieces, but we did make it so each space will have a door, no matter how the space is designed and leased. And we also know that the building faces two directions, which is usually very challenging with designing a retail space, because nobody wants back of house to have a door and storefront facing the street. But I think we did that very delicately with the exterior elevations. Tried to make it look like a nice facade, so as you drove past the building, you weren't looking at the back of house aluminum or metal storefront. The exterior elevation, this is the elevation of the longer building. Honestly, I think the renderings really do the building justice, but this kind of gives you a feel for the Chipotle, as we talked about how we introduced the black brick around the perimeter. And then we introduced some different gables, different architecture. We really tried to build upon the architecture that was already at Max's place. We liked what was happening and we thought, okay, how can we take this, make it even better, give it our own flair, and really make it a special place for Old Saybrook. Try to give it that kind of coastal New England vibe. And that's what we're doing with the gable roofs, introducing the trim, I forget what it's called, I think it's a barge board within the gable. And again, as you can see, we did introduce some signage, which really is to be determined at this point, but we're trying to make sure that the building is capable of supporting signage for multiple tenants. Materials are designed to be very durable, very cleanable, repairable. It's PVC, each, fiber cement siding and stone veneer, aluminum storefront. It's all very durable commercial products that will wear and weather well. Onto the renderings. Again, really, I think these kind of speak for themselves. As you can see, we introduced, there's a stone wall that runs around the property that we tried to incorporate from the site plan. We tried to match the plantings in our rendering as best as we could to what Hesketh has designed. And then, again, kind of neutral colors, but durable materials. And this is that roof that I mentioned, which screens the mechanical equipment. This view is the view from the west end of the property. So you can see this, it's looking at this corner. Right, so we're looking at this corner of the building here. This one, I believe, is inside the property, looking across the parking lot. The Boston Post Road is opposite side of the building in this view. This is a view from the entry drive out in the street. Again, kind of looking along the street view. As we mentioned, the building is very close to the road. It gives a good prominence along Boston Post Road. And then this is another view similar to the first one we're looking at, just at nighttime, trying to introduce some of the light fixtures. We are familiar, or we do recognize that it's dark sky compliant. All the lights we shine down, and then there's the Starbucks that we talked about earlier. The last sheet on here is the signage, which we talked about at the beginning. I did want to mention on the signage, we are looking at the signage to blend it in the design with what's already on the evidence displays now. Yes.
We're looking for, I know the town, he wants to emulate this, you know, with the single color, that's what we do. Because you know, our tenant sign rule, so you have a foreground color, background color, which is your white and black, and then you're allowed two colors, except for your key signs up here. So your five main tenants there would be allowed in that. Everything else would have to be one color, preferably black. This is actually from the east, and that's already fading the black. You can tell that T-Mobile is darker because they just changed their sign not a long time ago. Few months, I think it was in the fall, they changed it or something, but it was enough to go light with the everything else. So that's the kind of thing I know they're looking for. So the color to match, she wants it to blend in.
Do you have a rendering of building A or B?
Well, those are
With you?
the prior, the
That's the
buildings of the
also
prior
with
phase.
five guys.
Right,
That's
I was-
also in this.
right. I was trying to get a visual of how they look as compared to what
I
you're
could pull.
Yeah,
recommending.
I didn't bring images of the existing buildings. But they're similar in terms of kind of the overall massing, I believe. These are certainly a little bit longer, but I think in terms of kind of the massing feel, height.
They have anything like this?
They do have some gables, not as decorative, but they do have some gables. In those places.
One of the things I would mention is that the first section was built where the setback could be as close as 10 feet. Like some of the buildings are a little bit further, Alta's maybe 15 feet off. When they changed the regulation recently, they said it's kind of all or nothing. You're either 10 feet or else you're back 50 feet setback. Like the Chase building, it's 50 feet setback. So that's their decision. We have to live by it. It wasn't our suggestion. But that is why these buildings are right exactly at 10 feet. They have to.
How are you going to handle the boundaries? I noticed on the east, behind Big Y, there's, what, about a 6-foot vinyl fence. Are you gonna continue that? Are you gonna do plantings? I know there's arborvitae on the west, against the other property, because you have to watch your boundaries as well. We have to have some plantings.
There is a landscaping plan, which down here,
Yeah,
you have reserve parking. So what's gonna do, this is gonna remain treed.
Yeah.
So that will be a natural
Okay,
buffer there. There is a regulation for reserve parking. The town reserves the right to have you put into parking if parking is insufficient. But it has never happened in my experience that circumstance has arisen. And so usually the reserve area, which is landscaped, stays landscaped.
that'll be a boundary on that, on the east.
Yep.
Okay. And then, lighting, walkway lighting, I actually gonna continue that walkway over to the gazebo. So we're gonna keep the same type of lighting, or are you gonna change the lighting? This is what's there now.
Yeah, I would
That
have
lighting is
wanna,
17 feet,
Yeah,
And-
it
and
can
the
only be
shopping
14
center,
feet, yeah,
which
yeah,
was before that regulation. So it'll be reduced to 14.
yeah, something similar anyway. Again, it's consistent, that's all.
I think the renderings look amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
A great.
yeah, this
line.
is pretty buildings,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
that's.
very challenging.
And the landscaping looks wonderful. Great.
Yeah, it is a pedestrian node, so that's fine. Yeah, but you're gonna take care of that. Because I had asked Chris about that, but the traffic lights are close, because you've got the one just a little farther down by Saybrook Pizza. I forget the name of that road. Then you're gonna have this one, and you're gonna have Spencer Plain Road, so those are three that are fairly close together.
This, the entrance,
Yeah,
that's being discontinued.
it is.
So we will have between, at least at this point, a light and then another light
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
there. So it works.
Yeah, because if the other store ever comes to fruition, who knows? That's gonna be an interesting intersection at Spencer Plain Road, so,
Yeah, building C and D renderings are excellent.
oh, yeah, I think that's perfect or beautiful.
Is there any room for outside seating at Chipotle? Probably
I
not.
believe
pretty
there
tight.
is, we do have, I'm trying to remember the depth of the sidewalk, I want to say it was about 15 feet for the sidewalk up to the parking. And then depending on how this gets developed at the end of the building,
Yeah.
it might be a little bit.
Yeah, what's the width of those end pieces, you know, for the jog? It's,
The width of the building?
yeah, no, that first,
Oh,
yeah, that,
front to back?
no, not front to back, side, end in to the end of that.
You talking about this dimension?
Yeah, that dimension,
That's 40 feet right there.
40, okay.
Yeah, and they're the same on both ends. I believe the other building is also 40.
Yeah, okay.
If we could talk about the sign for a second, do we have time or are you still in the middle of this?
No, I'm ready for
Okay.
questions.
So I know you're talking about enlarging the sign, but would it be, and I know it's all connected, but would it make sense to keep like the sign on Spencer Plains for that section? And then a sign on Boston Post Road for that section?
I think the issue is that this is an alternate entrance
Mhm.
for the
Right.
two existing anchor tenants who want to be.
So they don't
on
want,
this.
they would lose their sign if you took it from Boston Post
No,
Road.
they wouldn't lose it, but they want, where before there was an entrance.
Right.
They want to have the sign over here.
By both
Yeah, you see, you have the two signs, so you're 1,500 feet apart, so that's fine to put a sign there, you know,
Mhm.
on two faces. The size of the sign, fine, it makes sense to, because I thought that one was a little squished. Two signs, I'm not sure, because that's where the problem comes in, where you put the second sign. Because right now, the regulation has it 1,500 feet away.
Where is it
So-
located?
The
Where
sign
located?
is,
To the right, it's to the right of the entrance.
Currently,
Yeah, on the
In front
back
of
side,
the
on the
bank.
back
Right
side.
there.
Yeah, right there.
There it is,
Okay.
pointing.
Before you turn.
Yeah.
I
And
think
there's
there's-
also,
it shows up on this.
there
plan.
also is one here. We would prefer, instead of putting it there, put it down here.
So one in front of the bank and one on the other side of the building too. Saying the
you see
exact
it.
same thing, exact same sign.
No, but yes, the sign, but the names. of
Different
the
tenants, different
Okay.
tenants.
Tenant names will be different. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
because
just the main, the anchor stores are
They
on all the
want
signs.
that, correct. So we could put like Chipotle on there. Okay, because come in the
Yeah.
entrance, you see it right there.
Mhm.
And maybe the next tenant, but the rest of them in that building, plus the last building, we like to put on the west end.
Their own sign.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll probably talk with Chris on that one. We'll probably do something at our next meeting about it. It'll come up on the agenda, I think.
Yeah, because it's a lot of
Um,
stores to see on one
A
sign.
lot of,
Yeah,
up to read.
the Chipotle, we've got three faces. Chipotle, we've got one facing the driveway, one front and back. That's three signs. I'm not sure how we'll handle that. And also the other signs too, and I know, Chris and I talked about, is again, the consistency of the signs on the front. If you go with Paperback Cafe or whatever, all the signs have to be pretty much the same within that facility. But at least the size has to be the same, you know, because each storefront would have one sign over that entrance. I'm presuming they're internally lit. Otherwise you'd have to put the barn type lighting. That's pretty popular. You know,
Does Starbucks ever make their emblem black? Or is it always green? Because playing around with so many different things here.
yeah. Yeah, it's always green.
Seattle
Just
green.
wondered. Seattle green, that's
Seattle green.
where they started.
Anything else, Ed? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Anything else? Okay, I think that would conclude it. You probably have plenty of material to work with here. And I suspect you wouldn't be scheduled for 2 weeks, be 4 weeks for our next meeting that you would be at. That'll give you time to do whatever you have to do. But as I know, Chris has filled up the agenda already for our next meeting. I think it's on the 10th.
Like she said, it's this,
Yeah.
because it would have to be
Yeah, it'd be
a month,
yeah, a month away.
away.
Which will give you 30 days. That's plenty of time to be ready. Because when you actually go to application, we'll need a photometric study for it. And a separate sheet and a separate sheet for the landscaping layout plan. That's pretty standard. So, okay.
And hopefully quick enough so that we can get on that agenda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because we have to make it the special exception
yeah,
application.
Sure.
And then that gets referred to you.
yeah, we'll get that. Yeah, because she tells me we're gonna be pretty busy over the next few meetings. So, okay,
It's been very helpful.
yeah.
Thank you.
But no, I think
Thank you all for
it's
your time.
great, overall, I think it's a great plan. I think the town needs it, especially since it's a gateway. And, boy, bring on Barnes and Noble. You gotta get them.
Yeah, I was just saying today, I wish we had a Barnes and Noble nearby.
Yeah, a good bookstore is,
They're finally
top
opening
that's
new
almost as
locations.
important as
Yeah,
Chipotle.
they really are.
They
They
would
just
just want
started.
to support.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, they would do
That'd be a
fine.
great.
This is that kind of,
synergy
the
between the two.
demographic
Yeah.
is good here for
Yeah.
that. So that'd be
People
great.
read down
So,
here. 'cause
yeah,
we have
it's-
the beach. We all.
So,
read
yeah,
on the
get in
beach.
touch with Chris, but we're often unavailable if anyone has any questions to go over anything we've talked about. I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Barnes would go, if we get them, they would be going up here.
Okay.
They're pretty big.
Well, they're anywhere from 12 to 17,000 feet, and they have to have a minimum of 100 feet, this is roughly 60 feet. Whatever, I mean, we could have a 10 as small as, we didn't want to have anything smaller than certainly 20 feet wide. And 60, could have as small as 1,200 square feet. This building here, though, I'm expecting to be about 6 tenants, give or take, including Chipotle, this one about 5 tenants. You know, give or take, so they're all gonna be, you know, a couple thousand feet, give or take, depending on the size, like Chipotle, it's just under 2,400, it's 2,275, I believe.
Mhm.
So they'll all vary a little bit, but if we do have this space here and the roadway, as you can see, you know, continues, right along here. So we could have, right here, as soon as you come in, you'd be looking at the, 100 feet, would be the depth times, whether it's, probably gonna be 15,000, assuming we can convince them to go. Well, they're looking at also at the outlet section, you know, up there, but, we'll have to see. They're a great tenant, but trying to make the numbers work, but there's another whole thing nowadays too.
Mhm.
But, we would certainly, I know we're backwards to get them, so I agree with you. they're gonna
We're
be
here like
backwards, yeah.
Clinton, yeah.
I do too. I mean, I know,
Yeah, the coffee shop.
well, the big Y does
Bit of
a
fun.
lot more volume here than it does in Clinton. It does about $9
What's
million.
happening to this
Does
stuff
$9
up
million
here?
more a year.
That's
You know, so
They're too crowded, that's a hot mess. It's overcrowded.
Well,
Can't handle
no, it's probably 30% more. I mean, it's interesting.
it.
More trips to the other store. Because somebody might like be at the Al's and say, oh, let me just go get a grinder or something, stop.
They get about 1 million
But
visits a year.
People going
Depends
to
on
the
750,000
outlets
consumer.
are not going to do their big grocery shopping. You're not gonna go out a half hour, 45 minutes with your ice cream. You know what I mean? They get more trips, but they do a lot less volume.
How about getting El Forno? They're gonna have to find a home.
California's.
Yeah, they're gonna have to find a
Yeah.
home.
funny you say that.
Yes,
For this
that's a possibility.
email that
Yeah.
I'm working with Ben and we'll definitely, he's kind of waiting for them. They've got to
They still have.
belly up to the bar a little and, you know, write a check.
Yeah, because I know there was an issue over parking places, I think, and septic or something. They were trying to buy
Right,
up
well, I
some
think
other
they've got the
properties.
septic pretty well figured out,
Okay.
you know, would be going along, you know, they bought all the lots on Denmore, on their side of the road. And so that gives them the additional leaching field there.
Oh, that's good.
So the septic, yeah, is a big deal. I mean, the grocery store alone takes, at least mine was about 5,500 gallons.
Yeah. Didn't Big White, don't they have some kind of special equipment for that? Someone mentioned that they have a.
Yeah, I did the treatment, I did the C9 wastewater treatment.
Oh, you did?
plant.
Okay, yeah.
And,
Drinking water quality.
yeah, 'cause
Really?
it's,
Yeah.
see, nowadays though, back then they only had 5,000 gallon tank, system was the largest. Now you can do 75 and they're even talking about 10,000. And frankly, we're planning on 4 septic systems for this new section.
Yeah.
They don't have it, they have a 7,500 gallon septic system for the one up in Clinton. The regulations had changed and so on, so. They're, you know, there's nothing wrong with the treatment plant, it works great, but they're, you know, they're expensive to run.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah.
And sadly, they won't let us reuse the drinking water, even though it's drinking water.
I mean, you could use it for non-potable use, no?
It's,
Landscape.
yeah, we
Gray
do
water
have a
irrigation.
system where we actually
Yeah.
recycle the water too.
Yeah,
You know, anything that can be recycled, the wastewater we do.
yeah. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
very
Well,
much.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. That was a good,
You need,
good
like,
presentation.
It's actually.
So I can get that.
Well, Saybrook is friendly.
We tried that with Trader Joe's. That didn't work out well.
I mean, I'm in a
Thank
book
you.
club, like 20 book clubs.
Good job.
Good night.
Most book clubs per capita.
Yeah.
So I don't know
I like
if
your
Chris
socks.
mentioned to you that I was going to be here, but today was the first email I got, so I don't have a binder or anything to.
You're on,
I am.
oh, you're
I
on
am
us.
for you.
Someone told me
Yes,
that.
I am,
Oh.
yes. It was the first email I got as well.
No.
No, oh, if she was bad,
I think there were
Okay.
2 openings or something.
okay,
so
your name again
I'm
then?
Erin.
Aaron.
Yes, so I was on the email today, but all I saw was these
Yeah.
comparative properties, but I don't have a binder and, yeah. That's
Okay.
why I'm
Got it.
abstained, because I
Yeah.
just getting up to speed. TORNEO,
So,
Is it again?
TORNEO.
NEO.
Thank you, good night.
Okay.
Okay.
Good night now.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You're quietly sitting there. I'm like, oh, who's this person? Nobody was introducing you.
Yeah.
I thought you were
yeah.
with
What
them.
company are you with?
I think Chris must be pretty
Let's-
busy, because
What we're gonna do is quickly, let's get the rest of this done. Minutes,
You can.
um. Okay. I make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, Ed, okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's make a motion to adjourn. I make a motion to adjourn. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, okay, thank you, everyone.